Oh, hi everybody.
Hi.
There's a lot of new gun owners out there and a lot of people in my comment section from time to time asking me what I recommend. And y'all do it on videos from a while ago. It's kind of weird because I'll see a comment, like it'll be all the new videos that I posted getting comments, and then randomly some 5-year, 6-year-old video. But I figured I'd throw this together to show you what I look for in a handgun and my criteria for selecting a handgun, because for some reason y'all ask me this shit. Before we kick it off, I want you to understand that every handgun I own is purchased with potentially using it for a serious situation, be it home defense or whatever. So every single one of my handguns has to be able to fill that role first and foremost. I don't feel, even at this juncture, that I'm at a place where I can afford to just get stuff to throw around. So all your hobby guns, all your stuff that you like for target shooting only, all that other stuff, I'm not shitting on it. I'm not saying it's bad or any of that stuff, but this is focused for self-defense, home defense, and all that other good stuff. So first and foremost, I want a pistol with a solid track record from a reputable manufacturer. If it's not from one of these 4 brands you see on the table, which is SIG, Beretta, HK, and Glock, probably not gonna get my nod. There are other good guns out there, but I have the most experience with and least amount of problems with the guns you see on the table. I'm sure CZ's in there somewhere, but I've heard some interesting things about how the internals work.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
The 4 brands I recommend are HK, Glock, SIG, and Beretta. So start there.
You're not my supervisor!
All right, next, number 2. What I look for is full contact on the grip, one way to grip the pistol when you grab it, and a grip that fills your hand well, but is not like holding a brick. So the USP 45 is a good example. Glock 17, I put the beaver tail on there so I can drive into it. You know, those are all good examples. I prefer the full size Beretta frame, fits my hand well, and it drives me into the grip. So on and so forth. Each one of these pistols on the table does that for me. Same with the VP9, just easy to grab. And what that'll really help with is drawing and consistency. You want as much consistency as possible. Consistency is key. And the worst thing is when you're fumbling around on the grip trying to figure out, you know, how to present it and all that other stuff. The draw and presentation represents a lot of time in time drills or self-defense situations. So the least amount of time you spend wrapping your hand around a grip in the proper position, then drawing it, getting your firing grip, and then getting on target, you know, it's the better. Reducing that amount of time is good. Spending an eternity trying to get your grip right and your presentation and your sight alignment, sight picture while seconds count is not a good position to be in. With very few notable exceptions. So the minimum requirement for me, again, with a few exceptions, is a 4-inch barrel and a 6-inch sight radius. The barrel gives you velocity and the sight radius gives you accuracy. Before I start skipping down this road, I'm not a dot guy. I've shot a lot of dot pistols and it's not for me. I can't do it. It forces me to do draw and presentation behaviors that we were trained out of for years. And now you want me to go back to fishing, and I don't like fishing. So I'm not a dot shooter guy. It's just not for me. I'm sorry. If y'all like it, it can be the future for you. I'm more of a reject modernity, embrace tradition. I guess. But I'm not a dot shooter, so I like a good sight radius. 6 inches or more is solid.
That's what she said.
Also, an asterisk on that requirement is with that sight radius, I also want the ability to be able to put on modern sights. So Trijicon HDs, Meprolites, or Ameriglows with some sort of front sight that's exaggerated. The X-ray sights on the SIG, you know, I want a nice orange, clear front sight on everything I have, so I can see what I'm doing. The green works too. I don't like the yellow ones, the yellow-green, the mellow yellow. Trijicon HDs, I prefer the orange. Orange just works better for me, but Trijicon HDs have to go on it or some sort of equivalent, and I like Meprolites on HKs. It is what it is, unless it's a USP. All right, so for every single pistol I have, it has to be able to accept a Surefire X300 for me. For you, I'd recommend a Surefire X300 or a TLR1. Also, the future mod light that's coming that, you know, we keep hearing about but don't see. Cough, cough.
Well, we're waiting.
But having a modern pistol light, 1000 lumens on tap, very, very important. PID is key, and it's a nice standoff device. So, works for me. And it's good to just have that on hand to be able to use it when you need to. And it gives you a lot of capability. It's also nice in a holster because it usually grabs the light versus grabbing your gun. So the light bearing holsters are easier on your pistol. I also do recommend a light for concealed carry that's on the gun so you don't compromise your shooting grip, but carrying with a Surefire X300 on the end of your gun is very uncomfortable appendix carry and small the back carry, so I understand that. Don't think I say that, you know, without understanding that it sucks and it hurts. It's not fun. But having the light on there when you need it is key. So every single gun that I have must take the Surefire X300 UB. I've even purchased a rail for my Mark 23 so it can do that. Also, Trijicon, please make HDs for my Mark 23, please. All right, next, number 5 is a good trigger. So I like a nice, clean braking, good consistent trigger, nice solid reset. These VP9 triggers are awesome. Match trigger in the USP, standard trigger for the HK45. I have the short reset gray guns in this, it's pretty good. And for Glock, if it's a Gen 5.5, you're usually pretty good on the 17s and 19s. I have seen some that are pretty wild, pretty heavy triggers coming out of the factory over there. But all in all, have a solid trigger. I know both of these have, you know, factory freak triggers or whatever you want to call them. But semi-custom, I don't know. But a good trigger is important because you want to have nice, clean, consistent trigger presses. I can use like a 6 or 7 pound trigger. It's not my favorite, but I can do that. And I do frequently shoot double single guns. So I'm used to the double action pull being heavier. Probably doesn't bother me as much. But if it's a short travel and heavy, for instance, if this Glock trigger was 8 pounds, it would suck because how much you're braking is very short, so it's going to require what feels like more pressure. I prefer a 4.5 to 4 pound trigger. I don't like them too light, I don't like them too heavy. 5 pounds is good, but 4.5 to 4 pounds is my favorite area for a rifle or pistol trigger. It allows me to get nice, clean, accurate hits and do good work so long as I do my part. But the 4 pounds is also enough to detonate a primer. So I prefer that range. Okay, magazine capacity. This is going to be on everybody's mind. Obviously, if you live in a banned state, I feel bad for you. But for the rest of us, for 45 ACP, my minimum capacity is 10. For a 9mm pistol, my minimum capacity is 15. But that said, more is better. So if you have the option to either purchase better magazines like for the SIG and the Beretta Mech-R mags, the 18 rounders, not only are they better magazines, they load smoother, they function well, but they give you an increased capacity without increasing the footprint. HK's finally caught up to the rest of the class. And Glock, obviously, you have your round flush fits, you have 19 rounders. If you plus it up, it's 20. So there's a lot of good options out there for capacity and carrying. Pistol in the holster, I like a flush fit. Typically though, my reloads are always extended capacity magazines when I can do it. 10 rounds of 45 ACP, 12's better, 13's better. It is what it is. You know, do what you're gonna do. If you wanna carry a 45, that's fine with me. I used to carry both those pistols, well, this one and then the black USP 45 I have, when I was younger and dumber and my back didn't hurt. All right, lastly, number 7. It needs to be effortless to run. Now, I'm not saying that you just pick the gun up and it does everything for you, because that's obviously not real. But what is important is you not fighting the gun when you're running it. And that's in the draw phase, that's in the presentation phase, and pressing your shots. So out of the holster has to be clean. I'm not saying you can never mess up a draw. All right, we've all done it. But you have to confidently grip the pistol, confidently present it, get it straight, and then start pressing shots. So no thinking, just inputs. So proper fundamentals and doing what you need to do to get those shots on target. Also with that, you're not fighting anything on the gun. So it's not just the grip and the trigger and all that other stuff, but controls, right? You don't want to be fighting controls. And I will admit wholeheartedly that my SIG, I have to use a different grip than some of my other guns. Same thing with the VP9. The SIG and the VP9, for some reason, I just love to park my thumb there, and it causes failures to lock back. But I can run the gun should that happen. But I will absolutely admit going click is bad in any situation. It's just something to consider. And I have a draw first shot 100 yards standard. So every single gun that I have, when I'm at the range, and I know it's kind of like a parlor trick, but I have to be able to draw with my self-defense rounds, present the pistol, press a shot, hit it 100 yards. If I can't do that, then the gun doesn't meet my carry standards or my fighting gun standards. It's an unrealistic expectation for a lot of people, I understand, and I'm shooting a large steel plate. I'm not talking about hitting like a 6-inch popper or 4-inch popper at 100 yards. I'm talking like a big piece of, you know, something at least doormat size at 100 yards. So not the hardest standard, not the easiest standard, especially after some of these recent range trips. People can't stop shooting my targets, man. I'm trying to do rifle videos and get like what inherent accuracy these things have and what I can do with it. And I cannot get my 100 or 200 yard targets back without somebody having shot it, or they cross range, ricochet the rounds into my target. It's so frustrating, but I digress. The reason for all these standards for me is I have a reliable platform and it fits me well enough that I can run it in a stressful situation. I eliminate as many variables as possible, and that's really what all this is for, is eliminate all of the possible variables outside of your personal performance. That way you have a tool that you can train with and progress with and eventually get to a high standard with, versus having a gun that's substandard like a Smith & Wesson Sigma, we'll say, and you're constantly fighting that gun. You're constantly working harder than you need to achieve the same results, if you can even achieve passing standards on pistol drills or accuracy or anything like that. You owe it to yourself to get a reliable platform, something that's going to work for you, and should you need it, you can employ it in a serious situation to defend your life or somebody else's. So that's my criteria for selecting a handgun for self-defense and home defense. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them below. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.